Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Golgothan and welcome back to episode 2 of the Kerbal Space Program Kethane mod series. I suppose I should probably go over Kerbal Space Program, overall, so that you have an understanding of what exactly the game is about. The game is generally about space exploration, building rockets, and launching them into space, launching them to different planets and different moons, landing or collecting information. At this point, the game is still in alpha, so collecting information is something that you really can't do yet. But you can build rockets here in the vehicle assembly building, space planes in the space plane hangar over here. Space planes are incredibly efficient to try to get up into orbit. I've never built one, I've never flown one. Maybe I'll do it sometime during the series, just for the sake of doing it. Down here, this is the Kerbal Academy. This is where, or the astronaut complex, I'm sorry, the astronaut complex. All the information of the name of the buildings is down here. Astronaut complex, this is where we can go. We got all these different Kerbals that we can hire for our flights. Right now we just have Jeb, Bill, and Bob. And then over here we have the tracking station, which if we were down on the ground we could actually watch these radar dishes. If we were to put it in fast forward, they actually move too slow to watch it in normal speed. But they do move and they track things in the sky together. Also, this building here has not been implemented yet. The thoughts are it's going to be an administrative building for career mode. It's pretty cool. This is the launch pad. You can click on there. We can just click any of our ships, any of our rockets, and just launch them straight away from here. Choose our mission flag, our crew, all from there. For now, though, I've actually modified our current satellite design that we use. This time I didn't think I had these solar panels on it before. I think they were on there, but I didn't show them on in the building video. And then I strapped this big old battery on the back of it so that it can make it through. I'm actually going to throw on another little battery because I've actually did this once already and then realized I wasn't recording the whole time. So I had to revert the flight back to the launch, and it's no big deal, it just kind of sucks. Let's throw that battery on, and then this battery on, right there. Boom, batteries. Now we should have plenty of battery life. Should have no issues. I'm going to check the action groups. I also set up action groups for the solar panel, so all I have to do is hit the 1 button and both solar panels will deploy. The 2 button will deploy all of these little antennas, the communitrons, and the 3 button will activate the sensor. So, let us launch this vehicle. Oh, I'm also going to put this decouple and this rocket in the same one so that when I break off this section right here, the rocket will immediately start going. So let's launch it. Let's see what we can do. For this one, I'm going to put it into a polar orbit, which is a north-south orbit. It is the best way to get the most coverage of the planet with the scanner. If you do any sort of equatorial orbit at all, it will just scan like that. It's that like the horizon line, or the equator. That's the word, the equator. Alright, so a little bit about the display, the heads-up display here. I didn't really go over this last time. Obviously, this is the flight engineer. I have orbital display here, the surface display here, information about the vessel, and if I were to want to rendezvous with something in space, which we will do probably in a later video. Now, this is the nav ball, which you can think of like a ball floating in water, and that as you tilt your ship, the ball rotates and adjusts the angle according to how you're tilted. For a north-south heading, or for a polar orbit, we want to head north, or north would be down here, south up here. I know it's opposite. But I'll probably head south. That'll happen when we do our gravity turn. Nothing we really need to worry about now. In the meantime, well, this is the staging. Obviously, this is the same that we saw in the vehicle assembly building. Over here, we can switch to our docking mode, which really not very good. I just do docking mode from here. And then the orbital map is here, which also can be accessed with the M button. In the map, you can hit this little arrow here, and it'll bring up your nav ball. You can control your ship from the map, which I do all the time. Actually, the more you play this game, the more you actually will use the map view instead of the, I guess, scenic view, or whatever you want to call it. Up here we have the resources. Here is our electrical charge, our liquid fuel, our oxidizer, and our solid fuel. Solid fuel is in our boosters, which we can only turn on. We cannot turn off or throttle down as soon as they're ignited. I think that's the word. As soon as they're lit, they will burn until they run out of fuel. If I dislodge them too early, they will launch up past our ship. Yeah. So let's throttle up. Here's the throttle. Here's G-forces. The G-forces, it does register the G-forces, but it has no effect. So if we throttle all the way up, and then we have right here is our SAS. That's the T key by default. You toggle it on with the T, and then that will keep us pointing in the direction we want to, or at least it will try as best it can. If we had like a really poorly balanced ship, it wouldn't help that much. And then we just hit spacebar to initiate our first stage. So do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Alright, now we're heading up. I'm actually going to throttle all the way down because these boosters will easily take us up by themselves. And I don't want to, I'll try to avoid going over 200 meters per second because anything over 200 meters per second below 10,000 meters, you are losing efficiency due to air drag. See, like right now we're losing efficiency. There's nothing I can do about it though because it's the solid boosters that are causing it. But once we hit 10,000, we can go full throttle and it doesn't matter. And then we can start our gravity turn, which will begin our orbital path. Alright, we're about to run out of our solid booster fuel. There it goes. Okay, throttle up. I don't know if that was scary. Boom, break that off. And now let's begin burning directly south on the 180 degree heading at about 45 degrees. There we go. Right on the, there we go, boom. And if you tap the F key, it will kind of toggle on and off your SAS, so that it's easier to reset your location on the nav ball with it. So now we're just going to burn until our apoapsis hits about 80,000. It'll probably use up this whole tank of gas, of fuel, as we make our way up. There goes our boosters. Once we hit 32,000, we can start adjusting our heading to be more at a 20 to 15 degree angle. Come on, almost there. This is your altitude by sea level. See, we're at 30,000, 31,000 by sea level. This is not the by terrain. So if you're trying to land, don't use this because you'll hit a mountain probably. Here, I'm adjusting our angle. 15. I want to stay right on the 180. I know it's telling me to go that way. I don't want to go that way. What else? Oh, this is the vertical velocity. This is how fast we're moving upwards. We're actually moving upwards at a relatively slow speed because now we're going sideways. This is the atmosphere. When we were down below, this was all the way over here. It's the thickest atmosphere. And see, we're at pretty weak atmosphere, but still in the atmosphere. We would be, if I were to, if we were to dip into about this point on our orbit, we would get slowed down and eventually crash. I'm gonna burn. There we go. Look at that. Boom. Cut the engine. Wow. Just that little boost. Look at how much that. 5,000 kilometers. Alright. So now we set our orbital burn to burn to a circular orbit. So let's bring the periapsis. Oh, that's a little too off. Shift it there. 74. No, I gotta get the periapsis on the other side. There we go. And that's still too far away on that end. 75, 90. I don't want it to be 90. 90. See, now you hear the music kicked in. That means that we have officially entered orbit. Yeah, there's a music change when you enter orbit and when you leave orbit or enter the atmosphere. 84, 81. Close enough. Close enough for me. So get on the node. I actually want to adjust this a little bit to make it a little more up and down. 84, 84. Wow, that actually gave us an even better orbit even. Alright. So if I can do this burn properly, should end up in almost straight north-south. Looks like it's still a little off. But it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So remember, we want to burn at T-minus half our burn time. So let's move a little bit faster. We're looking at 7 seconds. We're going to initiate our burn. And then we'll burn all the way through till this gets all the way down to 0. This is how much delta V we need to burn. There we go. Burn full throttle. We can actually, once we get closer, we can decrease our throttle to make it a more fine. How close are we? 87, 84. So once we get up here, once our vessel gets here, burn just ever so slightly to get our periapsis to 87 so we can be have a circular orbit just like that. Should be 87, 87, just like that. So let's find the marker. There's the marker. Look at that, 2.6 meters per second of delta V. That's like a half a second of like 1% throttle. There we go. Time warp. And time warp also will stop your ship's rotation if you're not rotating too fast. If you're rotating too fast, it'll say you can't time warp while your ship is under acceleration. But if you're just trying to get that fine the location on the nav ball, once you kind of hit the spot, you can hit time warp and it'll stop all rotation. It's kind of an exploit, but kind of pretty much everybody uses it. Saves a lot of heartache of trying to slow down with it. Alright. Coming in on the burn. Get right on the node. It's only going to take like a half a second of barely any throttle. And there. 87, 87. Boom. Now we are in a proper polar orbit. We're at 87 degrees. It's not quite 90, but it ain't bad. It ain't bad at all. Let's come out of the map view. Where's that sun? Silhouette ourselves against that sun, of course, as we pop off our engine. And we extend our solar panels. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. See if we can extend our communitrons. There they go. And let us begin scanning. Now I want to actually be at more pointed at the 90-degree mark right there, because that way as we go orbit the planet, the sensor can always have a clear view down. Alright. There's the moon over there saying congratulations for getting your first successful polar orbit. Let's watch this thing go all the way around the planet. And I think we're going to end this episode with another beautiful sunrise over the horizon of Kerbin. I am Golgothan. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.